Why are Ukrainians fighting? Anyone who is not brainwashed by propaganda is asking this question. Ukraine just destroying itself trying to harm Russia, while not winning anything, only losing people and economy. Ukrainians are living under air alerts, hiding from human hunters on streets, borders are closed, there are problems with electricity, and the situation for Ukraine is getting worse. This situation is literally the worst option for Ukraine, and obviously Ukraine had to stop fighting back in 2022, after the negotiations in Istanbul, when Russia demanded only 2 regions, Donetsk and Lugansk, instead of 4 regions now. If Ukraine would negotiate, hundreds of thousands of people would be alive. But it chose war instead of peace. And how is this even possible? Of course, Ukrainian government benefits from this war, as SBU and activists are suppressing people who want peace with Russia, but many, if not the most of ordinary people, are also supporting this war. Why? Because of crazy propaganda, and in this video I will be talking about this. Before going to this video, I want to remind you that you are my only sponsors. I am planning to visit Crimea, Severodonetsk and maybe some places like Avdiivka this summer and make a video about it. So if you want to support me, link is in the description. Ukraine has come a long way. In 2013 it was a neutral country, now the only idea of this country is to be anti-Russia, to fight Russia and to die fighting Russia. No one in Ukraine thinks about the future. Of course, people believe that there will be перемога, which means victory, but how will it happen and what will be after перемога? No one knows. Is it possible to rebuild a country when 25% of children just left it? When hundreds of thousands of men died at the front line? When your energy infrastructure is severely damaged? And when your economy didn't collapse only because West is pumping money to keep you fighting until the last Ukrainian? Alright, this video is not about the future of Ukraine. This video is about the reasons why significant part of Ukrainian population supports this war, and of course about the Ukrainian propaganda. So since 2014 Ukrainian government tried to brainwash people as much as possible, and it went kinda successfully. Being Ukrainian has become a new trend. But this trend affected only an active minority, I would say 20% of people. The rest remained neutral. The important thing you have to remember about Ukrainians is that most of people are neutral. Once I said that 10% of residents of Mariupol were pro-Ukrainian, who wanted to resist against Russia, and some people in comments thought that I said that 90% of people were pro-Russian, but it's not how it works. Only the minority supported Ukraine or Russia, and most just wanted to live their life. They didn't care about the flag. However, in Ukraine it changed after the start of full-scale war, and many of neutral people, which is the main part of population, started to support Ukraine and war. Just imagine that you don't care about politics at all, you just live your life, you heard somewhere that DPR is bad and Russia is bad, but you don't care, maybe don't even know what DPR is. The only things you really know about politics is that you are Ukrainian, because they say this on every corner, Europe is a paradise, and Ukraine have to be a part of Europe. Ukraine promoted these ideas very intensively, in every possible way. And one day you just waking up, hearing air alerts, maybe even explosions, and chaos is everywhere. You want explanations and you get them. It was easy for Kiev government to brainwash people because of 2 reasons. First reason is that Ukrainian point of view is very simple. Russia attacked us, and indeed there is nothing to argue about. You don't need to learn anything about this conflict. Just go defend your homeland. It's like in 1941, at 4 AM Kiev was bombed, so it's nothing to think about. Just go and fight Russians. But the second reason why so many people support war with Russia is much more important. It's propaganda. Total propaganda from all possible sources. In the first days of war, Ukraine immediately banned all pro-Russian and neutral parties. All TV channels were disabled, only one is left, and it's called Telemarathon, or the only news. So there is no way to get alternative information. At the same time, Ukrainian propaganda is everywhere, and I mean really everywhere. You are opening your banking app and see the words Russian warship, go fuck yourself. You are getting SMS messages from mobile operators that it's necessary to fight. All popular bloggers are supporting this, some because it was a trend to be Ukrainian, some because they didn't know anything about politics few days ago, and some are obviously sponsored. Propaganda is made for everyone. If you are smart, you will read articles from pro-Ukrainian analysts. If you aren't smart, you can watch TV and listen a story about a Russian soldier raping parrots, or about a Ukrainian old lady who took down a drone using jar of pickles. If you are young, bloggers in TikTok and YouTube will tell you that Russia is pure evil. If you are old, again, there is telemarathon. Now just compare this with Russian state propaganda. There is a TV for very old people and almost nothing more. Maybe I will make video why I'm considering Russian propaganda weak. Anyway, back in 2022, Russia completely lost the information war. Now I want to say a couple of words about the role of Bucha and Mariupol in Ukrainian propaganda, because it's important. I don't want to talk much about Bucha, I wasn't there. I'll just say that there are enough of evidences that it was staged by Ukrainian government. And Mariupol is a different story. Ukraine sacrificed us, organized no evacuation, no food supply, no shelters, just left us to die. Not only that, but Ukrainian army used residents of Mariupol as a human shield, their homes as firing positions, schools as military bases. It's very easy to understand the situation if you will look on Berdyansk or on Melitopol. These cities are not damaged because there was no Ukrainian army. In 2022, Russia also took Kherson undamaged because no one defended it. And Bakhmut was turned into a fortress by Ukraine, so now it's a ghost city. And who benefits from these tragedies? Ukraine showed the pictures of destroyed Mariupol to its population, saying that if they will not fight Russia, same will happen to their cities. It's also a nice way to make Western citizens support this war. I think you know this better than me. One more aspect that makes Ukrainian propaganda totalitarian is that you can't live without it. In Russia, the only thing that is reminding you about this war is billboards and banners in the internet offering you a big amount of money for joining army. You can just ignore these banners and think that there is no war. This is what most of people of my age are doing in Russia. In Ukraine, it's almost no way to shield yourself from propaganda. I already mentioned mobile bank app and Russian warship, but it's almost no way to find Ukrainian business that is not supporting this war. Most of companies in Ukraine are sponsoring the army. There are a lot of businesses who spending some of their income on the Ukrainian army as PR stunt. I'm not even saying about the informational support and posts in social media. By the way, all Telegram or YouTube channels in Ukrainian language are also involved in this mess. There are always posts about the donations for the Ukrainian army and of course endless hate towards Russia. As you can see, propaganda is the main priority for Ukraine. Maybe it's the main reason why this war is ongoing. If you will look at Ukrainian propaganda, you will see that it's very hysterical. In the Russian internet, Ukrainian propaganda is being compared to pig's squeal. It's also very loud and doesn't have a lot of sense. In the first 2 years of war, Ukrainian propaganda loved to promise significant victories every day, even before counteroffensive. Russia will collapse in few months because of sanctions. Mariupol will be returned before the new 2023 year. In the summer of 2022, I remember a website with the countdown before the destruction of the Crimean Bridge. There were like 2 or 3 days before the Crimean Bridge will disappear. Of course, during battles for Mariupol, Severodonetsk, Bakhmut, Avdiivka and other big cities, Ukraine said that Russia could never capture them. Now compare all of these promises with Russian propaganda. Before recently, Russia didn't say anything specific. There were words denazification and demilitarization, and nothing more. Only a few months ago, Russia started to claim some goals. And in 2022, 2023, 2024, Russian officials didn't say what they want to get, which regions, which goals. Maybe that was a weakness, because it's better for morale when you know what your country is fighting for. But now everything has changed. But few months before the counteroffensive, Ukrainian propaganda reached its highest point. Ukrainian officials promised to return of Crimea before 2024, and seems like something went wrong, because they didn't recapture a single city. Now let's look on some hilarious examples of Ukrainian propaganda. The most famous example is thumbnails from Ukrainian Unian channel. I translated some for you. And these videos from Unian sometimes get hundreds of thousands of views, so these thumbnails are effective. There are many small pro-Ukrainian channels where these pictures even more hilarious. And here you can see a meme from 2019 where streamer is playing Air Simulator.
Алло, диспетчер, блядь, мы падаем, сука! Понял, вычеркиваю. Блядь, не понял, чё нахуй?
Ukrainians just added random footage of helicopter crash from 2015 and it was shown live at Telemarathon.
Відео, яке мені сьогодні потрапило на очі, і воно мене дуже тішить, а особливо реакція на це мене тішить. І та й саме відео. Бо на відео падаючий рашистський вертольот, ну це не може не тішити, погодьтеся. А по-друге, мене дуже тішить реакція диспетчера.
Так, там суцільні матюки, якщо діти зараз дивляться, то, будь ласка, дітей від телевізорів.
Вуха їм закрити, будь ласка.
Вертушка пошла. Алло, диспетчер! Мы падаем, сука!
Вычеркиваем. Понял, вычеркиваем.
One of the most popular memes about this conflict is Russia has missiles left for 2 or 3 strikes. Former advisor to Zelensky said that in the end of 2022. And head of the Ukrainian intelligence, Kirill Budanov, confirmed this. It's funny now, 3 years later. Also, Ukrainians literally idolized all the Western equipment they got, from Bayraktar and Javelin in 2022 to Taurus now. Here you can see icon of Saint Javelina, and many parents in Ukraine named their children Bayraktar or Javelina. Same happened with HIMARS, Leopard, F-16, Patriot, Storm Shadow. Of course Russians like Oreshnik, but at least it's made in Russia, not given by masters. And no one is idolizing it. There are a lot more memes, like famous Ghost of Kiev, which turned out to be fake, or a famous phrase, Russian warship go fuck yourself, which Ukrainians absolutely love, despite a soldier who said it surrendered right after these words. And it's hard to accept the reality for Ukrainians, to understand that Russia is not a shithole, it's more developed than Ukraine, that there is much more freedom in Russia, and the borders are opened. You can see how Ukrainians are angry with reality under some of my videos. Few years ago I recorded video where I was just walking streets of Mariupol without comments, and damn, they were very angry about this. Or there is a good documentary about Azov, where there are a lot of verified information about the history of this organization. There are tons of confirmations from Ukrainian sources that Azov is a Nazi organization. And comments by Ukrainians under the documentary are not even making sense, just a ton of insults without arguments. I know that there are sane Ukrainians, mostly neutral but sometimes pro-Russian, and there are enough of them, but they have very hard times, because for men it's no way to leave Ukraine, so they have to avoid its account streets, to suffer from air alerts, and live surrounded by this insane propaganda, and there is nothing they can do. I really hope that everything will be alright with them. In this video I didn't say about the dark side of Ukrainian propaganda, about dehumanization of Russia and Russian people, about brainwashing Ukrainian children to hate Russians, so maybe I will make a second part. You can support me on Boosty if you want to. Thanks for watching.